Welcome, everyone. Would you rise and join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. So we're going to do our Pledge of Allegiance, then we're going to turn it over to the Titan choirs. So everybody join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody would remain standing. Mr. Denniston, it's all yours.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Wow. That was the best rendition I've heard in a long, long time, and I'm saying that honestly. It's fantastic.
Sporting.
Yeah. Fantastic. You can take it on the road. So, thank you. Please be seated. Do you have more for us? Another?
We do. They
Another
have
selection?
Selection. It's called the Jazz Waltz of the Sugar Plum Fairy, and I can't wait to hear it.
Okay.
This is Citations, our advanced choir, and we are going through different types of contests this spring. First one's our jazz contest, which is why we're doing a more wintry, almost a little bit Christmassy song, because we learned this last semester for this contest that's coming up in about 2 months, and then we go to our regular district contest where we hope to get gold in Group 1. So that's the highest group you can go in the middle school level. So this is Jazz Waltz with the Sugar Plum Fairy. It's snowing outside, figure it fits. So
Absolutely.
Have you ever seen the sugar plum fairy from the Nutcracker Ballet? She is graceful, strong, and beautiful, magical, mystical, swirling to and fro. Mesmerizing, she's so elegant, feminine, I must admit, she could steal the show. Makes you wonder if you're under any spell she casts upon your way. Floating lightly on her tongue, such an enchanting spectacle, one of a kind, original. Singing faster as she goes, just like a vision from a dream, queen among fairies, she's supreme. Arabesque and moire, pirouette, pirouette, galloping. If you see the dancing sugar plum fairy from Tchaikovsky's masterpiece, you'll remember if whenever you hear music with this melody.
Wow. Fantastic.
Thank you so much for having us. These kids are involved in 1,000 things, especially this afternoon, but they took time out of their day to be here because they were excited to perform again. And so thanks for being our first performance of 2025. And also I hope you'll excuse us because they have to get back to those things. But thank you guys so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Great job. Wow, Mr. Williams, you must be very, very proud.
Absolutely.
They're just fantastic. We're going to do a roll call. Dr. O'Neill? Present. Mr. Heater?
Present.
Ms. Barnes-Griffin?
Present.
Dr. Washburn?
Present.
Congratulations, you had a big weekend.
Ah, yes, we did.
Your
Very exciting.
your children had great
Yes.
outings at the swim meet,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Proud of all those kids.
and Mr. Lowe?
Present.
And Mr. Irvin?
Present.
Sorry, I didn't want to throw you off.
He's trying to confuse us. He was gonna say bureau answer my phone.
There we go. Mr. Williams, how do you follow that? But you're up. I like your tie today.
Oh, thank you. It's the pathway to purple that we definitely emphasize at Northside.
Pathway to Purple, I like that.
Absolutely. We are all Bearcats, and that's a phrase that
Yeah.
Mr. Raiders and I both use at North and South, that we're all
Okay.
Bearcats.
That's the first I've heard it, but I like it.
Oh, very good. Well, thanks. Once again, I'm really honored to present to you, once again, about Northside Middle School. As you can see, we have a fabulous music program. And just to highlight them for a second, and our music program, that's the Titations. And of course, they have a fabulous choir director named Mr. Dennison. Also, our band program is extremely strong as well. We won the All Music Award last year with ISMA, which is very prestigious. Only 7 out of the hundreds of middle schools in Indiana won that award, Northside Middle School, that being one. And of course, we have a lot of state champions walking in our hallways because we had a lot of different Titans that were part of the state fair marching band competition where we took first place as well. So we're very proud, yes, of our music program and want to thank Dr. Reynolds for his support of that. To tell you a little bit about Northside, that's a snapshot of where our staffing is at this point in time, and definitely we're going to spend some time talking about what we're doing for teachers as far as recruiting, retaining, and of course rewarding them as well. We have, since I've become principal, we are growing in our population. Right now we're right about approximately 625, and looking at the numbers, I was with Phil Bolts today. We're projecting possibly maybe 650, if not more. And our retention rate is strong. When I say retention rate is strong, meaning we are holding on to our students as they are in Northside, meaning they're sticking with us in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. That's right around 90%. And even we're seeing some numbers where families are not leaving after the 5th grade. And we have a retention rate of about 90%. Families are deciding to come to Northside, which is very important, for us as a district, very important for me as a principal. And we're very active, especially in the springtime, making sure that we are orientating our 5th graders and parents into what life looks like at Northside Middle School. So Northside is definitely a different middle school than many of the middle schools around Indiana. I was a principal of a different school, and what makes us different is, our family-friendly designation. We received that Purple Star designation where we honor our veterans. And of course, our dual language program is now in its 2nd year, and we're making plans already for scheduling for that 3rd year. Of course, I really believe that our partnership with Ball State, with our PDS liaisons, particularly in math and ELA, strongly helps our staff members. Of course, we have so many different Ball State practicum students. We have 2 classrooms that are dedicated to Ball State where Ball State professors can teach within the North Side building. And of course, we have our ELL program, our English Language Learners program, where not only are they serving Titan students, they're also serving adult learners as well. And of course, we have our Titan TV studios, which every year it seems to get a few upgrades here and there. And of course, Mr. Deniston is a big part of that. I just want to encourage you, if you want to YouTube Titan TV, you can see these really high quality productions that are done by middle school students. And of course, we celebrated last year with our esports program. We have a state champion esports program, and we are looking at hanging up banners soon, very soon. We just received some funds for that. So we're not only going to highlight the state championship that we earned in esports, but we're also going to honor the past with all the different state championships that have been won at Northside over the years, particularly volleyball, girls softball, even wrestling as well. Launching in 2025 is Project Gear Up, and we are very excited about that. There are a lot of summer programming involved with that, as well as career exploration and into the fields of, well, PLTW. So we're excited about that. Our athletic director, Counselor Tara Gudger, is going to be working with Mr. Lyon on that. So we're very excited about that cohort coming up, not only through Northside, but on into Muncie Central High School as they progress over the years. So our 4 strategic goals in math, ELA, attendance, and behavior. In iLearn, it's our goal to raise proficiency by 10%. Same for ELA. Last year, we showed growth in 2 out of 3 grades in math. Last year in ELA, we showed growth in 1 out of 3 grades. And of course, this year is our implementation of the new science of reading curriculum, our amplified curriculum. And I will say that we will have different checkpoints coming up. If you haven't heard about these Ideal Week checkpoints, we've already had them already. And we'll be continuing with those tests up to the time that we take iLearn. And certainly those tests, I really believe those checkpoint tests, or what we may refer to as benchmark tests, really help our teachers and our staff and even our students stay in line with curriculum and with the standards in the open sequence. My experience as a principal over the years is sometimes you make a goal at the beginning of the year, and then you kind of go through the waters of the school year, and then here comes that iLearn test or that iStep test back in the day in April, and sometimes it's easy for teachers to get off track. But the checkpoints really helps maintain a strong focus. So I really do believe that we're going to see a lot of benefits from these various benchmark types of tests in these check marks. Our attendance rate has been climbing. You can see the rate from 22-23 at 84%, and 23-24 we're at 89%. This year we're hovering right above 90% right now. Of course, our goal is 94%. Our OSS rate as well. You see how that's dropped from 22-23. We had over 351 OSSs. Last year, we drastically cut that to 230. And I met with Phil Bolts today, and right now we're kind of at 50% of our budget. We really work hard to find other alternatives than removing a kid from the learning environment. Now, that's really where the magic comes in, where students learn when they're in the learning environment, not being removed from the learning environment. And so that's the heart of what we do when we are working with our teachers in professional development. We have this challenge that we issue to students. We call it the Challenge 3, and the data is very intriguing. And the Challenge 3 is we encourage every Titan student to participate in at least 3 extracurriculars. Right now, running the data, we have about 2/3 of our student population that is involved in at least a sport or a club. And of course, our goal is 100% of the student population being involved in at least 3 extracurricular activities. That's either a sport or a club. And the data is very evident and it really guides our mission as we see that, wow, the students that are involved in ECAs, meaning sports or clubs, their grades are better, their attendance is better, and wow, and generally, they're in class more, there's less mental health issues. They are seeing a lot of success in school. On the flip side of that, the students not involved, well, they're more likely to face a disciplinary consequence, they're more likely to be struggling in a class, they're more likely to be struggling with attendance as well. So it's truly our mission to ignite more students into these various sports and clubs. And I'm really fortunate to have a staff that is willing to offer so many different clubs. Like we even started an anime club, and I like anime. What's that? But it's something that reaches not the typical student who may be like that typical student athlete or that typical musical student. It reaches different subcategories of our student population in order to get them involved. So once again, this is a huge initiative for us. The Challenge 3. Our PD focus. Every Wednesday we have impactful PLC meetings with our staff. This year, with the help of Dr. Bell, Mike Raiders and I have been doing monthly professional development for first-year teachers. And we know that there's a lot of data that shows a lot of young teachers don't make it out of their first 3 or even 5 years. So we are trying to provide as much support as we can and have real authentic conversations and a real authentic professional development series that can really impact their teaching and really encourage them as well. And we provide mentor support as well to those first-year teachers. We also do quarterly learning walks, which are basically instructional rounds. If you ever want to go on an instructional round with me, it's pretty cool. Basically, you just go into a classroom for 10, 15 minutes. You kind of have a guided sheet, and you look at observations of what you see. That is probably the best bang for your buck as far as professional development. When teachers are watching other teachers teach, and they're picking up great ideas, and they're picking up, okay, I can maybe morph that idea into something I can do in my own classroom. And of course, again, our Ball State PDS liaison support in math and ELA, and it just expanded this year in social studies, and hopefully coming soon some more support from Ball State in our science department. And this is a big one. That last bullet point right there, consistent celebration of our Titan staff. I heard a podcast that whatever you're doing to show appreciation for your staff, you should try to double it. So we try to celebrate our staff as much as possible. If you were there the last week before Christmas break, we had fun things going every day. We were hiding elves. If they found elves, they got gift cards and ugly sweater day and just different things, again, to motivate, inspire, or just to help teachers know that we care, we love them, we appreciate them, we know their work is hard, but it's so crucial to the success of students. So we talk a lot about our cycle of inquiry and our PLCs, and this really helps guide us as we identify what do we want students to learn, how do we assess students, how do we respond to the data. Once we get that checkpoint data, what do we do? And again, that's an advantage of the checkpoint testing, is that you can actually make database decisions to change your instruction throughout the school year. And then, of course, how do we reteach and enrich our students as well? And there's different bullet points there on what we do on our side to help our staff and our students achieve. So I'm going to end with just a bunch of thank yous. I just want to thank you, first of all, for this is my 3rd year being principal at Northside. I want to thank you for the investment in the teaming model. After the first year, I went to Dr. Reynolds, Dr. K, Mr. Grimm, and said, we should consider the teaming model. I really appreciate that because it is an investment. It truly is an investment in the teaming model, and I really believe that it helps our students behaviorally as well as academically. Thank you for the renovation of the Northside Gymnasium as well. If Steve Spradlin was here, I'd say, hey, thank you for a more robust Wi-Fi. I mean, our Wi-Fi is It really is. And that's kind of big when you got, 600 some kids on a Chromebook. Thank you for the ViewSonic display boards in every classroom. We have them. Those were a game changer. I'm telling you what, it's so obvious how more professional, how more authentic, how clearer the lesson plans were implemented with the ViewSonics in the rooms. I truly believe that the shift from going from kids carrying Chromebooks to having Chromebook carts in every class where teachers have the autonomy to hand out Chromebooks at their will, I really believe that has helped reduce distractions in the classroom and has helped make the classrooms more focused. I want to thank you again for the new policy on cell phones as well. I really believe, once again, that's helped eliminate distractions. So thank you for that. We really love working with Legacy Life and the safety checks that we do. We appreciate the strong partnership with Ball State. We thank you for your support as well. So that's all I got. Other than what's on the horizon, I certainly hope you come to some of our Black History concerts coming up, and I'm sure Dr. Reynolds and I will be getting you the dates going. We got a great trombone player over there, and so it's going to be a great show. And of course, we have some more fun things coming up as well. And just that last bullet point of, we're working on a school improvement grant proposal, working very hard with Carrie back there with the educational transformation team as well as Mike Raiders. And so we're proud to put that out. And so that's continued work that we're working on monthly. In fact, we're meeting tomorrow night. So looking forward to the progress as far as that goes with the ETT, we call it. So any questions that you have for me?
I got two. So take them whatever order you want.
Yeah.
What's the number one attributable to your big increase in attendance? That's amazing. Number two, those quarterly learning walks. Explain to me again. Teachers can walk to different teachers' classrooms.
Sure, yeah.
When they have off hours. How do you find the time for them to do that?
Yeah.
But that is a great idea.
As far as raising student population, I really believe that going to the elementaries and talking to the fifth graders, and even going to some of their PTO nights, some of their family nights, and for them to get to know me, and then inviting them in later on in the spring for our fifth grade orientation nights, and then of course we bus the fifth graders in from all the different elementaries that feed into the north side. And so we really work hard in April and May to try to acclimate them to Northside where they feel very comfortable in Northside. So, people fear what they don't know, right? And the more that we can say, here's what life is like at Northside, the stronger the relationship is.
Yeah.
And, and we also really believe that Titan Camp at the beginning of the year truly helps as well. That's a 1-week orientation camp. It's only half a day, but it really helps, again, orientate those sixth graders into the north side. And of course, the wonderful opportunity that we have with Titan TV to make videos. And I've made a lot of videos over the summer. That's usually when I record the bulk of my videos, just to educate parents. Here's what's life like at the north side. I've had a few parents comment me on that, like they really appreciate the videos. It makes them feel better about sending their kid to Northside, which that's ultimately the goal. As far as the instructional walks, basically during the prep time, when we regularly meet on Wednesdays during PLCs, like let's say I'll have a group of English teachers during the English PLC, which is their prep time, and we're meeting once a week. Instead of just having a sit-down meeting, I'll have other teachers where it may be the math teacher, maybe a science teacher, maybe a gym teacher, it may be Mr. Dennison. We will go visit their classroom for about 10, 15 minutes. We'll walk around the clipboards and have just kind of a guided worksheet of looking for different instructional practices, looking for different visual supports. What does the environment look like? What evidence of student ownership do you see? And some teachers say it's their best PD day of the year because they get to go watch other teachers and they go, there's an idea that I can bring back to my classroom. Or there's a bunch of ideas. So, and I send survey data on that. monitor how teachers feel about it. And the data is very positive for some of those instructional walks. So it's a little secret I picked up years ago at my former school. So it really is. It's really beneficial.
Any additional questions?
Did you get your attendance one answered?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
So really like on the same line, behavior and out of school suspension strategies, what are you using to help reduce that? Like, what are the incentives?
Well, we do have incentive field trips. Number one, we're rewarding those students who are behaving correctly. We do have a PBI system where we have a Titan store as well, where our teachers basically fill out a character GPA on each student based on the 4 traits of the Titan. Taking responsibility, exhibiting kindness, being prepared to make good choices. So they get to go into the Titan store and pick out some good, fun gear as well. So that generally rewards a lot of the students who are either marginally behaving well or, generally all the time will behave well. We definitely have restorative practices in place as well through our counseling department, which is a huge part of it. Because again, if we can restore rather than just issue consequences, let's restore. And so that's a big part of it. And our 2 counselors, Lacey Roberts and Tara Gudger, do an amazing job concerning that. And of course, we had Ross Green training as well, which really helped us at the beginning of the year. But not just, once a year doing that, but we have done a series of different PDs during our Wednesday meetings, and in fact, we're doing one this Thursday morning as well with our staff on basic student management scenarios, which means, and basically giving them a real scenario of a student does this type of misbehavior. How do you react? What do you do? And of course, the goal is to coach teachers, and rather than just throwing a kid out of class, right? Because once they're removed from the learning environment, well, they're not learning, right? And then it leads to, it's like a declining slide that they're on when they're out. And so really coaching and educating the teachers on how we can keep kids in class, how we can build positive relationships, how do we respond, when they misbehave. Because if you think about it, we teach kids math, we teach kids English, but what do educators normally do when a kid does something wrong? We punish. And really, we shouldn't be punishing, we should be teaching. So that they can overcome that the next time. So hopefully that answers your question.
It did. One more question.
Yes.
The smartphone policy, so it's going well, but like what are some of the things that you have in place that kids try all the reasons why they didn't have their phone?
Sure. The biggest thing that we've done is, and I'm really thankful for our staff, is that we have staff buy-in. Like they really believe in that rule. And yeah, sometimes I'll have to pull them aside and say, we're not giving up on this rule, meaning you got to be on board with it. And that's where the teaming model comes in too, because usually most of our teachers are in teams of 4. And so when you have 3 teachers that are like, listen, this is the rule, we're sticking with it. Don't be that loner guy or gal who's just going to say, well, nah, I'm going to disregard that rule. So that's a huge part of it as well, is having staff buy-in, because again, they want to teach in a distraction-free environment, and they know that, well, these cell phones can lead to distractions. So, and that's the biggest part of it. But then the second part of it is too, a kid has a phone in class, do we punish or do we teach, in that regard? And primarily, most of the cases occur where we just take the phone away from the child. They can pick it up at the end of the day, and then we move on. We don't have to scold the child. We don't have to belittle the child or dehumanize the child. They get their phone back by the end of the day, and we move on. So those things are really important.
So in the middle school, they keep them in their locker. What is it?
Correct. Yeah,
Locker.
from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. they need to be in their locker, and then that includes smart watches or headphones or any sort of iPad or gaming device as well.
And don't give up on that. That's critical to the educational and mental health of our students. I mean, the data is becoming more and more clear in terms of the impact on education, the impact on well-being. I don't know how many people were privileged to attend the David Letterman interview of Caitlin Clark, where they confiscated cell phones on the way in. And then there was a wait for a period of 45 minutes or so due to a delay. And we in the crowd all behaved like normal human beings, where we interacted with each other, had meaningful conversations, and tended to get to know each other a little bit as opposed to having our heads down. My wife and I commented on the absence of cell phones really adding to the richness of the evening given the delay. So that's one thing. On the issue of the checkpoints on iLearn, math, and ELA, it looked like you said you had growth on two out of three grades on math. Last year, your goal is to have growth in all three, growth in 1 out of 3 on ELA. Any high achievement or just high growth? Last year.
From last year, that would be high growth in different areas.
Okay. So, you've had your first checkpoint, right?
We have, and we're launching checkpoint 2 in many of our grades right now.
So checkpoint 1 on math, where were we?
Truly, it's a pilot year, and I would say that we're still kind of at that point where we're about 5 to 7% below the state average as well.
Okay.
In some grades, it may be a little bit more, but again, using that data to individualize it, where teachers can go, okay, I have this set of kids that are on the bubble of passing. What can we do to remediate?
Yeah, and I'm less concerned about passing. I am concerned about demonstrable growth across all grade levels. And I'm curious as to the first checkpoint, are we seeing that? Are you seeing growth across all 3 grade levels on math, if you know?
Well, the wonderful thing about the checkpoint data is that students can read tests as well. And so we're seeing that growth from that.
Okay, so you're seeing.
So, I can certainly email you.
Yeah, I'd like to
some of the
see it.
results as well. You can see how students are performing checkpoint 1, and then when they retake checkpoint, that's it. That's if they were scoring below or approaching proficiency as well.
Yeah, and I would like to see it for both math and ELA, and as we move forward. What grades in math last year showed high growth at the end of the year in iLearn?
6 and 7 showed growth in iLearn.
Okay, and then ELA.
ELA was 7th grade.
Okay. And you're saying this year's a pilot year on the checkpoints, correct?
Correct.
And is iLearn another new version, or do we know?
Well, iLearn will be the summative test at the end of the
Right, I know, but like I read, last year was kind of a different.
iLearn.
The iRead test last year at 3rd grade level, I understood an ETT was a new version of that test.
It was introduced for 2nd grade last
Oh,
year,
2nd grade.
but 3rd grade was the same test
Okay.
that
Yeah,
they've always
okay.
taken.
Yeah, I mean,
So I think the checkpoints are, unlike our iReady assessment, those checkpoints are a group of standards that are mapped out in a sequence to get you to the iLearn summative assessment at the end of the year. So unlike iReady, it doesn't adapt to where the kid is. It is these X3 standards, let's say.
so it doesn't necessarily demonstrate, the checkpoints don't necessarily demonstrate your ability to say high growth
Right.
at this point.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Unless you take it the second time.
Yes.
So which they have for a group of students, but in order to take it a second time, you need to show some sort of intervention, remediation to that group of students. So if this group all took it, and we're gonna take it again, something has to happen between the time we take it the first time and the second time to remediate those standards. And Northside did show really good growth with the students they've done that with. They didn't do that with the whole building, but they did that with kind of some select group of students. And we'll see kind of what that looks like at every school moving forward.
And this is the first year for science of reading at the middle school level, so really, in terms of giving that time and your faculty time to adapt to that, we're probably looking at next year in terms of analyzing its impact on ELA, correct?
I would agree that it will take time. It makes you wonder about an implementation dip. I will say that our staff has performed very well implementing the Amplify curriculum. You know, I will say that, you know, last spring when we did the pilot, I think that was very helpful, where we started implementing a lot of those Amplify lessons, meaning the science of reading lessons last spring, which gave teachers a lot of experience into, well, showcasing those lessons, which made our transition starting last August even smoother.
Okay.
So,
And I assume that Northside has not been part of Project Attend at this point.
we have,
Yeah.
They have?
we
Okay.
have, yes,
So you've had some students who,
yes.
and we've seen the data on certainly Grissom, Longfellow, and Southview being on attendance being very favorable. So I'm glad to hear that you're actually part of that as well.
Yes.
Any desire for a reward or Ball State women's or men's basketball games this winter? I'll get in front of it if there is.
Sure, yes, we'd love to talk with you about
Okay.
some upcoming basketball games.
Okay. It should be a couple days where it might work, and I'll reach out. Anything else? Any other questions? I'm sorry.
Is the gym done now?
The gym, our floor looks wonderful. We certainly would love to have bleachers eventually.
No bleachers yet.
Yeah.
We have the portable bleachers as of now, but we realize that that's a very high ticket purchase. And but again, our students love it. Our teachers and coaches love being in that gym. It's certainly brightened it up as well. So
Let's put out folding chairs all along the edges and create a very intimate environment. Okay. Any additional questions? Thank you, Mr. Williams. We appreciate it very much. Dr. Reynolds.
All right, thank you. Ben kick-started me into my first celebration, or my first update is our semester attendance. Like we shared at ETT, for our elementary educational transformation team with Grissom, Longfellow, and Southview, they experienced some high growth in attendance, reduction in students who are chronically absent, and an increase of those with terrific attendance above 94%. Just terrific growth in attendance. So we went back and looked at our district data. Our district data for attendance is at a pre-COVID high as far as attendance goes. So averaging just about 93% attendance for a district. And I think last year we were in the upper 80s, 88, 87, about the same time. So kudos to our schools, to our school administrative and leadership teams, putting an emphasis on attendance, giving credit to our teachers to remind kids the importance of being at school, and then our parents, just making sure that they send them to us so we can do the very best we can to get them ready for the future. So again, continuous improvement there, and just very excited about the growth in attendance. Like to congratulate some of our athletic teams. So we had a number of female wrestlers qualify for the Indiana High School Athletic Association inaugural tournament season. Had a number of students qualify for regionals, competed at Alexandria. Unfortunately, we didn't have any students move on. Battling some illness at sectionals. I went over to check out sectionals, and we had a number of kids that were battling some flu bugs that weren't feeling great. So we didn't send as many on as they thought we would send on, but the kids did a wonderful job at regionals. We're a great representative of MCS and Central. But they're just doing a district or a sectional, regional, and state. We didn't have any students qualify for state, but I think in the inaugural season, just a tremendous season for that new sport for IHSAA. Well, I want to congratulate our swim teams at Central. They had a tremendous showing on Saturday. They braved the elements to make the well, it's typically a 2-hour journey to Lafayette, and I think maybe Saturday morning it was much longer than that. But they had their conference meet that day. The girls had a tremendous third place finish, and the boys won a swimming conference on last Saturday. So again, just kudos to those coaches and those kids and those parents that that accomplished that. I don't know the last time we've had a conference championship, but that's
2016 for all sports and 2009 for swimming.
that's awesome.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's really good.
They know.
Yeah,
Wow.
they knew the pressure on them at that point. That's terrific. And I think Dr. Washburn had a couple of students on those teams, right? That's tremendous. Feel like I need to share a little bit. So Power School is our student information system. We Power School experienced a cybersecurity event in December, and we were notified last week about a possible breach. So Power School is a national provider of a student information system, and thousands of school districts and probably millions of kids across the country use Power School. We didn't per se have a data breach. It was a Power School data breach. We contract with Power School to host all of our data. So they're the ones that experienced the data breach. We added that in our quarterly newsletter that went out last Friday, and we anticipate additional communications from Power School that we will forward on. I think that they're working very hard to ensure that all the data was safe, and I'm sure that they're going to send some additional communication out to us in the near future. But wanted to just reiterate that if folks did not see the quarterly newsletter, a little more information in there, and a link to the Power School response is also linked in that newsletter. And I think you can find that. If you did not get it through Parent Square, can you find that on Facebook?
Not through Facebook, but on the website, on the security page.
On the website, on the security page, you can find that Power School letter if you didn't get that in our quarterly newsletter. We have a big weekend. I see Miss Ward walked in, who heads up a lot of our weekend activities. We have a big weekend with MLK celebrations this weekend. We have a youth citizenship award ceremony on Saturday at Central. We're going to recognize 128 students who were nominated and will be there to be recognized for just good character and being good leaders in their schools. And then on Monday at Ball State, we will have a community breakfast where then the area schools will recognize a number of outstanding seniors from across the city and county. So just looking forward to two tremendous events to honor and recognize our students. And finally, it is School Board Appreciation Month. Wanted to make sure that we thanked our school board for all their dedication and hard work. Not an easy task. It's like calling a snow day or 2-hour delay. It feels like you're a no-win job sometimes, but truly appreciate the guidance and leadership that you all provide to our district and to our community. I meet frequently with peers, and I often feel blessed with the level of professionalism and support and care that you all take for your job. So thank you so much for all you do in School Board Appreciation Month.
Thank you. Is that like the 25th anniversary? You get silver or?
I think you get a polar fleece.
The polar fleece.
Yes. That's the anniversary gift.
I couldn't be more tickled. Anything else?
No, I think it's it.
Any questions for Dr. Reynolds? Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. You have those items in your packet. Couple questions, Dr. Reynolds. Notice we had some changes down at Southside Middle School in the science department. Dr. Bell, have we had a chance to fill those? I had some tough time to fill them. I know that.
Right.
No, we are still working to fill those positions and using people, either long-term subs or people within the buildings.
Okay, okay. And are there any other science teachers down there, or just those two that departed?
There's another science
Another
teacher.
science. So we have at least somebody who's able to help guide curriculum.
Oh, ISERs, yeah. Yeah, there's, 4 others.
Four.
4 other science. Yeah, because there were 6.
6.
Yeah, there are 4 other science.
Oh, okay, okay. So I'm going to confess that I cannot remember a single middle school science class, but some of other scientists in the room.
Me too.
Okay, okay. I'm looking at you precisely to make sure somebody took science in middle school. Okay. So that was my only question, was regarding, and then Grissom, the master teacher that's departed, have.
Yeah, so we're going to work with Melissa Burton. Melissa Burton helped us through the rollout of CKLA and the cadre work. We were with SIG dollars, we were able to work with her, and we're going to contract with her to come in and help Grissom out. She can help and run their PLCs, their weekly professional development. She's going to come in and help do that, and then an additional day of just walkthroughs and support, either in person or virtually, kind of depending on the need.
Okay.
District-wide psychologist, so I know that, so how do we?
Oh, that's a toughie, right? I mean, those are kind of like science teachers. Those are tough ones to fill. So luckily, she had a baby and did not want to work full-time, which I completely understand that. In the meantime, it's where we posted for the position. In the meantime, she's agreed to come back and work part-time for us to help us out, to continue to do evaluations of our students as needed. So she's going to do that part-time.
Okay, good. Any other questions concerning the consent agenda or anything in it? Okay, would entertain a second. I hear a second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, the consent agenda passes. Mr. Jerome, on to the financial report.
Thank you. Tonight we have the actual results for the whole calendar year of 2024. So you have a few more charts and graphs and perhaps some more information than a normal month, but we're happy to report these are the end of the year financial data. So sometimes when we give you those charts and graphs, it's just a snapshot of cash balances, but this shows the whole output for the whole year. So we're happy to report we received state basic grant revenue of a little over $47 million. So that came in about as we expected based on the enrollment that we had for the year. Our payroll as we expected was up a little over $2 million based on headcount and raises we had. We paid all our debts, paid all our long-term debts at the end of December. For the year, we paid just a little over $10.6 million in those long-term debts. And we have fully paid off, in case you were wondering, the football stadium and track, and we fully paid off the bleachers and fully paid off the restroom and concession building. Those debts, long-term debts projects were set up as the 2022 project was a 2-year payback. The 23 bonds were a 1-year payback. So that those were taken care of with our debt payments at the end of December. The overall checkbook balance, $35.2 million at the end of December. That's certainly a very strong balance. Obviously, that did include some proceeds where we sold bonds in November that helped contribute to that cash flow. Positive surplus situation. Just breaking out the education fund balance, that went from $15.3 million to $15.5 million. So once again, that's continuing to show a positive surplus of $197,000 for the year. And the outstanding $12 million loan, that's down now to $7.9 million. We continue to pay that off per the state-approved amortization schedule. That's not paid from debt service. That's paid as a reduction from the state basic grant revenue. Property taxes, we did receive a little over $12.4 million for the year. That's 53% of the levy. In case you're wondering where the other went, well, it went to the circuit breaker cap, in other words, the tax cap. Those property taxes we did receive were $600,000 higher than the year before. That particular chart there, that just shows really what I've just said about all the various cash balances. Rainy day, we're now a little over $5 million there. We did transfer about $1.4 million into rainy day at the end of December, so that was more than we expected. So that's a positive thing for us that we've kept the rainy day balance where we wanted. When you start getting to charts number 4 and 5, number 4 just continues to show the trend. So even from however many feet away you are from the report or from the ViewSonic board over there, you can see the trend of the cash balance is going up. Clear on the far right, clear on the far left was December of 2018, and what you see there on the red as it continues to go down, that's the payback of our outstanding loan to the state of Indiana. So that's moving in the right direction, and that just nets out the loan right there that shows the same trend. Chart number 6 there just shows the all fund total checkbook cash balance, how that's continued to grow in 2024, just right there at the $35 million mark. And so we've done nothing but show a positive trend compared to where it was clear back in some of those negative balances of 2016. So obviously we've made the correct trend. The next chart, number 7, that just shows cash flow of just the education fund. And so that continues to show, or I'm sorry, that shows your cash balance of just your education fund. It used to be called the general fund years ago. Basically, we're showing the cash balance still trending, still at a little over $15 million. So that buys us time. You know, that's what that does. So anytime you can show a positive balance in that education fund and continue to add to it each year, then that's a good thing. The next chart just really shows the cash flow, or it shows the change in that education fund. And as long as it's positive, that's even though it's not as big a surplus on the far right there, you got to remember the surplus or the cash flow is affected there in the education fund because we're transferring money from education fund into rainy day. So it might look like we didn't have as big a surplus there in 2023 and 24, but in 23 we transferred over $2 million to rainy day, and 24 was $1.4 million. So we're still able to show positive cash flow, but yet good results. And the next graph, number 9, that's your rainy day fund balance. And obviously, as we've said before, we've talked here at our board meeting several times, and when we did the budget presentation, yes, we are using rainy day fund to help us, to help offset some of those expenditures that are operational in nature. We know that's not sustainable. Yes, we know that. Baker Tilly has certainly told us that. We've known this for the last 4 and 5 years. We're just trying to get beyond the 2028 final payments of some of those payback of the state loan, and we're getting there. And
does the $5.006 million
yeah, that's rainy day
include the 1.4 that was transferred?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes, it does include that. So, and it really, and for 2025, probably the expectation, even though we were granted, because we asked for a little over $3.2 million in appropriations for 2025 for our 25 budget. Our expectation would just be to spend a little over $2 million out of rainy day in 2025. So that would be the expectation.
Okay.
So still expecting a balance at the end of next year. That graph there just shows your the outstanding state loan balance as it continues to go down. In 2024, it was paid back at $180,000 a month. As we've probably talked before, it's backloaded. This particular year, it's $180,000 a month for the first 6 months, and then it moves to $185,000 a month. And then for the years beyond 2025, it continues to go up each month on the payback. Appropriations remaining, what I can tell you is we paid our bills and we stayed under the cap. If you notice, when you're within $100 on operation fund, you're within $300 on rainy day. We worked really hard at the business office to get our bills paid right up into the cap, the spending limits, and so job well done by the business office staff and Lisa Evans and myself and Danielle and Violet as we sorted through all that in the latter 3 months of the year. So we didn't spend over what we were supposed to. The next chart, number 12, just shows the financial statement. I always have to put things in a financial statement format. That's the best way for me to look at finances, is look at our trend and how we expected to be on the cash flow spending. Once again, this is a snapshot, the cash balance and the cash flow for 12 months actuals. That just summarizes, if you don't like charts and graphs, you want to see a financial statement, this really shows what we just saw there. Shows you the breakdown of the salaries and wages and how our trend has been. Number 13, that chart, that just, like I said, you can't see that from across the room. It's just breaking down by month, the spending. Chart 14, that's the old DUAB cash flow that we were required to do. I've been doing that ever since Courtney Shasma asked us to do that 6 years ago. It just lets us look at our total checkbook and our expected spending each month by the various funds. So I found that helped me, and it just showed me where our spending is by the various funds, and it shows the breakdown of the $35 million we had in the cash balance. Chart number 15, that's just my carryover from our October work session meeting. That was just trying to do a deep dive in the operation fund. I've now filled that out with actual data, so you have to look at that basically on your own, probably printer or your own monitor or screen there. The trend there is what I'm trying to get at. On the very bottom line there, I'm trying to predict and forecast where I think we're going to be on spending on the operation fund and where I'm going to be on spending on rainy day. So I'm still trying to show that we will accomplish our mission for the next couple of years in 25 and 26. I've also found it to be very difficult to predict the future. Okay, so we're only looking at 2 years here, not 5.
Really slacking.
Yeah, I know. But at the legislature right now, we know the legislative session is still going on. There's some bills pending perhaps that might take away the 15% cap limit. What that would mean, because you'll have it on your board agenda here, the very next item, is we're only allowed to transfer up to 15% from education fund to the operation fund. If they open that up and not have a cap on that, that would allow us to transfer more money from education to operation, and I wouldn't have to necessarily take it through rainy day. It would drive your balance downward in your education fund, but might provide you the cushion to get another 2 or 3 years out past our 2028 spending rate with the payback of the state loan. So we're just, stay tuned on that one, is what I'm really telling you on that education fund transfer.
So we ended up
Yep.
in 2024 with just under $500,000 remaining in the education fund.
Operation fund.
No, in the education fund, in our remaining budget appropriation.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, on your appropriation, yes,
Yes, we had just under $500,000 left.
yeah,
So if we're running that close.
Yeah.
I don't care if they say, well, you can take it to infinity.
sure.
You've got a $500,000 cushion last year on your appropriation.
And the beauty of what I did with that 446,000, I took 300,000 of that, I carried it over into 25.
Okay.
So,
So we have a little more cushion perhaps
Yeah.
in 25.
I try everything I can,
Okay, perfect.
To-
That
to-
was
to give
that
you-
was where I was headed.
yes,
So, potentially we have 700,000-800,000 if we are given leeway.
oh, yeah,
Obviously, that is not an ideal solution.
oh, I know that, that,
Because you are effectively then going after another very critical part of the budget to
Mhm.
run your operations.
Yep.
So, when I look at the circuit breaker, I just did the math.
yeah, it was a little over 11 million this year and expected to be 11.4 this next year for circuit breaker.
So, based on my math, the circuit breaker is costing us about $11 million, just
Oh, yeah.
shy.
Absolutely. And because it's expected to raise, that's why our operation fund got cut in 2025 to the tune of about 350,000 on our spending. So our operation fund budget will be less in 25.
Yeah, but the one positive, our operation fund back in, I don't know, 18, 19, 20, 18 was just shy of 14 million, right?
Oh, yeah, our operational spending in those
Operational
years.
spending.
Yeah, operational spending, you're exactly right. In that 13 to $14 million range, back in
So
what,
20,
20 and 21.
21, our operational spending was 13 million. And we really got crunched. 23, it's at 10.2 million.
Right, that was the year. It started where they cut down on our appropriations because we just did not have the revenue to support it on the property taxes because the caps were starting to really hit the operation
So
fund.
we had some increased revenue in 24, a bit less in 25, and it looks
Right.
like we're projecting even a bit more or less in 26 with also the impact of the growing circuit breaker, correct?
That is correct.
So prior to the circuit breaker, now what are we, how many years into this? 20
Since
years?
2009.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 15 years, 16 years. Not that we need $23 million to operate.
Correct.
I'm not suggesting that.
Right.
But we're effectively continuing to be squeezed when all our prices are going up. And I tell people, for example, when we think about the wildfires in California right now.
Yeah.
And what happened to our insurance premiums
Yes.
year to
2 years
year.
ago. Right, a year ago.
A year ago,
Yeah.
we went from $350,000 premium to a $650,000
Yes.
on insurance with limited loss. I mean, I don't know if we had a claim of any material significance. And so we're going to see another increase in premiums. I'm verbalizing what you know.
Yeah.
I'm verbalizing it for anybody who's watching. That's the squeeze.
Yeah.
So I understand the legislature potentially is suggesting we'll remove the 15% cap, but I'm here to tell you that is not a remedy.
We're taking money from one pocket, putting it in the other, by not,
Correct.
I mean, that's really what it is. It's a short-term fix.
You're taking money from the classroom and you're putting it into buses,
Yes.
custodial services, insurance,
Right, you're exactly right.
food services.
You're exactly right.
So I understand. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I
No,
wanted to
you're-
talk my way through that.
You're right on.
Quick question, which line item do you have the sewer bill buried in? I don't mean buried.
The sewer bill.
The sewer, the utilities?
Utilities?
Yeah.
Oh, they would be anything probably highlighted in blue, line 17, is utilities on water.
Oh, so you got water and
The water bills,
sewer bill
yeah, the water bill.
combined,
Yeah,
okay, thank you.
Yep. In any event, I mean, that's probably the bulk of the financial report, I would say. The other charts and graphs are just showing the tax rate and the property tax collected.
So from the standpoint of timing on the operation fund, assuming the legislature grants no relief in the upcoming year, it looks like to me, based on what I have in front of me, that we can make it through 26, perhaps 27, but after that.
It'll become perhaps more challenging for myself
What year,
to do that.
26 or 27?
After we get beyond 27. I mean, and once again, then now we're talking that more than 2 years out, so certainly things could change by then. That's why I just tried to focus on maybe the next 2 years on that operation fund and rainy day fund spending.
I assume, we're going to be coming, do we pay off the state loan in 28?
28, at June of 28.
And how much that comes out of our general appropriation, correct?
That is correct. It's coming out of the education fund, yes.
So once that is relieved, and if we didn't have a limit on transfers, potentially we could.
Yeah, potentially you could make it. So, I mean, the way this would work, your education fund balance, where it would go downward, like right now, I think I showed you the chart and graph, we're at 15.5 million on education fund right now. So they free up that 15% rule, let's pretend, and you really need to start transferring more than 15% to offset where you thought you would need to put into your operation. You could probably drive your education fund balance down from 15 million, maybe down to 6 or 7 million. You might have to drop it.
Okay.
2 million a year for the next 3 years beyond 26.
Question for you and perhaps Baker Tilly is that if we get to 28 and we have that final backloaded, what is it? Probably a couple, $3 million at that point.
That last year, because it's only the first 6 months, it's just a little over $1 million and a half.
Okay, so let's say we get to a point where we have $2 million left to pay.
Sure.
And oppressive payments.
Sure.
Within a narrow time frame.
Right.
Is there any ability under the current statute for us to go into the commercial market, borrow that amount, and amortize it over 5 or 6 years? And you don't have to give me that answer right now. But to lower the payout on the back end to get us through that time period. And I don't know if that's a good answer or not.
Yeah,
But-
that would have to be explored.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt it.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Yeah.
But I want to explore it and make sure that the answer is no.
Sure.
I mean, whether we get to 27, 28, and the climate is such, politically or otherwise, that we are scrambling, then I want to be in a position to find other options.
Sure.
Why would you wait?
Do it sooner if you want. Yeah.
It's a good question for today.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's something we can spread over a
viable.
longer period,
Yeah.
then let's think about it. DUAB may have something to say about all that. So, okay, sorry, I just want to,
No,
it is,
those are all very pertinent.
no, I mean, I just think the operations fund vis-a-vis the finishing the payment on the state loan, that's our most critical financial challenge in the near term. And the state was close to providing relief last year. It got stripped out at the 11th hour in the legislative session. I can't predict. I don't know what'll happen. I know they know it's an issue for, what, 24 school districts?
Yeah, right now, the latest, greatest stuff I saw a week ago, there's 48 school districts that lose more than, what'd I tell you, 25% tax caps, 48 districts.
So, and we're losing 43%.
Yeah, yes. We're in the top 10 on that.
Could you give me that list?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to digress,
No, it's
but
good.
I want to talk my way through it.
That completes my financial report.
Okay, any questions, any additional questions?
Did have a question, Jim, on the financing and the operations. I've read, or there's a lot of talk about more property tax relief and perhaps increases in income tax to make up for that. What would the potential impact on school funding be? Or is that too speculative to even guess?
I think that's anybody's guess right now.
Yeah, I have a WebEx tomorrow with Baker Tilly. They're just waiting to see what the legislature does. And also the bond council will, I believe, be on there next week when I have my WebEx with them. They're just waiting to see what the legislature is going to do. It's speculation right now.
I've looked at the statute, the proposed legislation, and at this point, having looked at it, I just don't have a sense of where that's going to land. No clue. Any additional questions? I would entertain a motion to approve the annual financial report.
So moved.
All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Brad. That's
Thank
really
you.
good work. Appreciate it. We're on to the ever popular calendar.
Well, not quite.
Well, I guess, oh, you've got to do a fund transfer.
Yeah, once a year, always in January, I ask the school board permission, as we're required by statute, to make a transfer. This prevents me from having to come to you every month and ask for this, not to exceed 15% of the total education fund revenue from transferring from education fund to the operation fund. So I'm asking permission to make that transfer during the course of this year, 2025.
Entertain a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
You see the efficiency with which I did that? I wanted to get to the calendar. You get so excited about the calendar. Dr. Reynolds, are you doing the calendar?
That is not one of the duties that
I
that
got
I'm doing
passed
anymore.
along.
I passed that one along to Terry, and that joy to him. Man, pretty quickly.
Very, very quickly.
So
It's one of the first things he told me, you're gonna do the calendar.
you got the calendar, Mr. Graham.
So I guess with all this talk about what's going to happen in 26 and 20, we might as well have a school calendar for 26, 27. So that will be the action item tonight, is to review and potentially adopt the calendar for the 26, 27 school year. Currently have one already for next school year, so we're trying to keep that. We've had several years of keeping that in like a 2-year calendar. So I know Dr. Reynolds has discussed this with area superintendents and try to keep everything in line. So calendar is very similar to what we have now. We did have a survey of 668 responses from different parents and students and faculty and community members that took the survey, which was really good results. Calendar committee met several times there in the fall, where a couple members here were part of that. Nothing substantially changed, still 180 student days, 185 teacher days, 5-day fall break, 2-week winter break, 5-day spring break at the same similar times as calendars in the past. The first student day would be the second week of August. And the last student day will end before Memorial Day. That was something that we found in the survey, was the top vote getters in both of those. They didn't want to start too early in August. They preferred a second week start, and they definitely prefer to get out before Memorial Day. This calendar allows us to do both. The first teacher day would start on Monday, August 10th, and then the students would return on that Wednesday of that week on August 12th. Maintain the current number of early release days. I think we found a happy number there at 4 that our community and parents, teachers they like. We do 2 first semester and 2 second semester. That has started this year for the first time, and I think the survey responses found that was a good number. That was a good number to maintain going forward. We've maintained our Innovation Summit in September. We still have parent-teacher conferences in September, which seem to be like a really good time after about 6 to 8 weeks of school to meet with families there. We have very good participation in those. Fall break there the first week of October, winter break around the holiday season, and then spring break is the last full week of March, which aligns to many of our past calendars. The one request that we did do with this calendar was to remove the built-in snow days in order to maintain that get out of school before Memorial Day. So it was kind of overwhelming in the feedback and responses that if you have to choose between going after Memorial Day and having those built-in days, they would rather take the chance that we're not going to be out of school and have those days after Memorial Day if we need some sort of snow days. So that is the one probably big change in this calendar, is we remove the built-in snow days in March and in April and May.
It's like playing scratch-offs.
It is. So, I mean, you never know. So
Never know.
you just never know. So
Would people lose their minds if I suggested we do away with fall break?
probably yes.
So, on that note, the fall break, spring break, winter break, those all align with the county schools, correct? Because we have kids coming to them.
Correct, to the MAC in different places. And that's one of the reasons, as we first start to work on this, one of the first things after getting something kind of scratched out was to give it to Dr. Reynolds to take to his area superintendent meeting saying, hey, how do these dates look and match up with their calendar? And for the most part, the area superintendents are like, well, you guys set the calendar and we follow suit with what you set, so.
Okay, any questions? I would entertain a motion to approve it. So moved. Second. Moved and second, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Both same sign, same sign. Okay, the calendar is passed. We're on to our Board of Finance. We need to appoint a president and a secretary.
That is correct. Even though we've covered pretty much all the financial information just a moment ago, we're going to follow the statute and go through the process and do a Board of Finance meeting. So we just ask that the board chair would ask for someone to be the new appointment of president and secretary of the Board of Finance to conduct the Board of Finance meeting.
Is it both president and secretary serving together or two separate?
Two separate people have this honor. It's a highly paid position.
I'll volunteer for secretary.
I
think I've already signed.
Dave, is Dave Heater, Mr. Heater's volunteered to serve as secretary. We're deeply appreciative of his willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Keith O'Neill, president.
Keith O'Neill, want to serve as, Dr. O'Neill, want to serve as president of the Board of Finance.
Sure.
Okay.
Padding my resume.
If you want to call us to order, please do.
Call to order.
Okay. Well, thank you. This is required, and I assume it was probably put in statute because perhaps only once a year, or maybe they didn't do this, people didn't receive financial information from their administrator or their treasurer. So in this case, we follow the statute. We'll provide some basic data for you. And even though I've kind of given you a rundown perhaps on a lot more information or charts and graphs I just presented you, we'll go through a few basic things, and then we'll go through the fiscal health indicators that I think Cindy has the link to, where we will, oh, there you go. We got them up right there. We have the link. This is required also to discuss with you the fiscal health indicators and how the state of Indiana views our information based on stale data from 2023. So they don't have the 2024 data yet, but they show it to us. So anyway, let's jump into that. What I just like to show you from a Board of Finance perspective, where is the trend going? Our interest earned was over $683,000 for the month or the year just ended. That was slightly below the year before in 2023, which was $745,000 in terms of interest. So we're happy to report that we earned almost $700,000 on our money. I've already told you our cash balance at the end of December was over $35.2 million. That was higher than the year before, but not as high as 2022, where we had $39 million, and that was probably still reflective of our ESSER funds. Our cash balance in the education fund, a little over $15.5 million. I've already told you about our long-term debt was paid. There we go. That particular, that's a busy graph. That's showing the various fund balances. So that's not your overall total checkbook. That is your specific funds, and it's showing the trends of those specific funds. And the only negative clear out there on the far right, 2023, that's when you're looking at some of those negative balances that were yet to be reimbursed from the state. That's when you're allowed to have negative balances on various grants and so forth.
So which ones are those in 23?
I'm looking at the very far right, yeah, about right there. Yep.
Yeah, so it's federal stimulus funds.
That's federal stimulus funds. Yeah, we had to file. You always file for reimbursement a year in arrears or 1 month in arrears.
Which is just to the left of that?
Okay, the big one, the big tall one.
No, just to the left of the green.
Oh, okay. Local funds. That's just called the local funds.
And local funds was what?
Local funds, anything that is not a tax-supported fund.
So how's that negative?
Oh, that's positive.
Federal fund is
The federal funds is the green and the negative.
provider, and the federal stimulus.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, there's a tiny one. There's a tiny negative. Yeah. There's a tiny negative there. That's just looking for reimbursement. Anything in a negative balance, you're just waiting on a reimbursement.
So that's not running at a negative?
No.
Okay.
So that's the beauty of when they break down the various fund buckets. Now, this particular one here, it shows a deficit balance. And as Chuck and I talked about that, why is that? Well, it's because we're spending down the rainy day because our overall checkbook balance fell. And that's what it's trying to show a trend, like, hey, just be aware you're spending more money than you're taking in total. It's like, yes, we did, because we were spending money out of the rainy day. And that was in 2023. If we had the 2024 bucket or the bar graph right beside there, it would probably show the same thing because our, even though we had bond proceeds, the rainy day went down about $4 million. So anyway, that's what.
Does that become a negative indicator in the eyes of the state?
That becomes a negative indicator in the eyes of the state if you're spending more than you're taking in total. And they just want school boards to know that's a bad thing if you're doing that, a bad trend. So.
And that's clearly the source of our conversation earlier.
That's clearly the source of our conversation, what we've just been talking about. That particular graph right there, your fund balance as percent of expenditures, I mean, that's pretty healthy. If you have a fund balance of, it says on the far right, 43.3%, you know, you've got 43% of your balance to handle whatever your total expenditures were for the year just ended, so.
Yeah, and I've read that there's consistently across the state.
Yeah.
As ESSER's funds.
Oh, yeah, true.
Gone away, that percentage is going down.
That could be, it's not going to be a significant issue at all for Muncie schools because we used our ESSER funds. The bulk of it was for renovation of 3 school buildings. We didn't put it into people and headcount. That's where they call that the ESSER surprise, where if people put a lot of money in paying for headcount, paying for teachers, now they'd have to figure out how they're going to pay for them.
So we are not going to have that
No.
surprise.
Yeah. So that's just revenue by type. Looks like layers of sand. I don't know how to, I don't even know how to explain that. It's just, it shows your revenue. I don't know. It's just, my graphs are up and down, bar graphs, and that's just, looks like an art project. I just don't know. I mean, I've tried to give you as much revenue as I can, breaking down with other types of graphs. They're just trying to show a trend for you as a fiscal health indicator. Where's your chunk of money in your balance? Or where's it been going by year? That was a blank one. The next one, that's blank.
Yeah, this next
There
one
is
I
something
really like.
derived from that.
Yeah.
The local
Right.
tax revenue is money.
Yeah, your local tax revenue, that's right. I mean, you could pull,
I mean, what you
because,
pull from that is, it's level.
well,
The rest of
go up above the next one, or go back. There we go. The one on the bottom, the pink, that's your local tax revenue. It is straight from 2014 through 2023. That's the property taxes collected. That is the property taxes collected revenue. And that, as you can see, is straight as an arrow. It hasn't wavered much from 2014 through 23, just like I said. What we just received in 24 was a little over 12 million of property tax revenue. So it was only 600,000 more than 2023. So that just shows you, yeah, there's no, and that's because it's limited because of the tax caps, which is what we have said. That next graph is just, the reason it's so flat is because of the tax caps. Yeah, limiting that. Yep. The next graph is zero all across the board because we have no referendum money. So that's why they're just trying to show, in case school boards, they're just wanting to show revenue for the state in case you have referendum money of how much is your money is referendum revenue. And is that one of the last, I think that's one of the last charts. So that is the state required fiscal health indicators. That's what we're required to present. I just wanted to, I think I verbally talked about all the other things in our report we just finished.
You really shared all of that data
I did.
in real time.
I really did in real
from
time.
2024. Of course, 2023.
I'll just close it on this. We have about 11 checks for over $14,000 that we will void 2 years old or older of outstanding checks. Just some items for the future, as I wanted to mention to the school board. We have 2 white activity buses that have come out of the blue sky that we ordered 2 years ago, believe it or not. We have delivery dates now of February and March of 2025. So we were just asking, someone on the board asked about whatever happened to them. And we got a delivery date right before, we got the delivery date given to us before Christmas. We'll have,
They didn't increase the price on us, because I had that happen at Ball State, where they increased the price and they let it to you.
I think we still have the PO. I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, I was just happy to be notified we're gonna get 2 activity buses. They're really hard to get.
Do we still need it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, we do. We want to replace some older white activity buses, so yes.
Okay.
So I'm happy to report that. We'll have some more information for you on Operation Fund items in the month of March. I've got some items for you then. I have a planning meeting with some attorneys, the bond council, I think I've already mentioned that. Just start talking about the field house boiler replacement project, where we would sell bonds in 25 and do the work in 26. So that's not been brought to the school board yet, but that's the one I want to start planning on to do. And then just as the last item, expect work to be completed in 2025 on the field house parking lot, the stadium south restroom right there on the football stadium, the underground sanitary line, and some electrical upgrades for the field house. And that funding source was the bonds that we just sold in November of 2024. So, and that concludes my Board of Finance report, unless you have any other questions.
All right.
You can declare the Board of Finance closed.
Need a motion?
Yep. There you go. Do that.
Got a move. We have a second? Need a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Move adjourned.
Move the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.
I'd like
Good
to
job.
commend the president and secretary.
You don't get that on the regular meeting.
Good job.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah. Your next
Okay.
check will reflect that outstanding
I
performance.
don't have any thing additional. Anybody else have anything we want to talk about at all? Okay, thank you all for the meeting, coming out on this cold, blustery night. Mr. Klotz, anything? Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you.
Well done.
Go Notre Dame.
Play tonight?
Go Notre Dame. Notre Dame.